Happy Friday, everyone. I'm Adam Zdroik here talking Arsenal against Southampton. Showdown of the week at DraftKings. Yes, there are two showdowns of the week at DraftKings. We had one Monday with Liverpool, and now there's another showdown of the week Friday. And there's a few contests here available to everyone. I know there is the 150 King of the Pinch entry. Let me just double check here. We also have a couple of our subscribers are in a head-to-head for a King of the Pitch ticket, so that will be interesting. Um, this one is a little bit more lopsided than Monday's match between Liverpool and Leeds. So we got Arsenal 80% chance to win, Southampton below 7% chance to win. Arsenal 51% clean sheet. Implied goal total is 2.4 to a 0.7 for Southampton. So if you're looking here, YouTube or on Twitter, rotowire.com/soccer trial, free 48-hour trial. And then once you're subscribed, rotowire.com/chat to get into the Discord. If you're looking for Saturday's preview, we got a show coming up in a little bit. That will be also up in our podcast feeds on the YouTube channel, wherever. Jack Burkhart, Ryan Belangi, Jordan Cooper will be previewing the 4-game Saturday slate. But for this one, how much should we talk about here? We got just this lopsided matchup. We'll see what happens here. The interesting thing I saw about Southampton is that they actually haven't been terrible playing away from home. 1-0 loss at West Ham. They had to score the draw against Manchester United, where Casemiro got a red card, and I think it was about the 33rd minute. Lost 1-0 at Leeds. They actually beat Chelsea, and I think that might have been Graham Potter's last game. Can't remember exactly, but Southampton have been playing a little better away from home. They also have a point. They already have some confidence. They took a point from Arsenal earlier in the season. Arsenal, kind of some iffy results. They didn't exactly outplay West Ham in the 2-2 draw. They had the 2-0 lead in both those games, actually, against West Ham and then against Liverpool, where they're kind of outplayed in the second half of both those games. So we'll see where Arsenal's mindset is at here. This is a home match. This needs to be a win for Arsenal if they want first place. How much are they going to be in their heads? If it's 0-0 after 60 minutes, it's definitely going to be in their heads. If they score in the first couple minutes, I mean, maybe the 2-0 result against West Ham will also be in their heads a little bit. But I mean, this is at home, and let me pull up the Premier League table here just to look at the difference for Arsenal at home. So 12 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss at home. Scored 42 goals. They allowed 18. They allowed 18 at home now, which isn't the best. I mean, you can see Manchester United, Newcastle both allowed less than 10 goals at home. Compare away from home, Arsenal, probably the best team away from home in the league. No wonder why they're first place. We got Southampton. They're pretty much bad everywhere, but they do have those 4 wins away from home. They do have better numbers on the road. Again, I'm not sure what that means, but they've only allowed 23 goals in 15 away matches, which, isn't that bad. It's a better. I mean, even if you throw in this 7-0 loss for Manchester United, that's kind of like the same rate as Manchester United away from home. So even though Southampton are terrible for some reason, the way they play is, I don't know. They play defensive away from home, and we'll see how that goes into this one. As for lineups, I doubt we get anything changing for Arsenal. They played Saturday, I want to say, Sunday. Zinchenko's still out, so we're going to get Tierney at left back. We're pretty much going to get everyone. The only chance that Trossard starts, I doubt Trossard comes in, but we'll see. I mean, again, coming off a couple draws, so maybe something changes in there. Expected Rob Holding will remain in there because Saliba is still out. Southampton is a guessing game. That's about all I can say. I guess Maitland-Niles is ineligible against his parent club, so we should get Kyle Walker-Peters playing at right back, and Romain Perraud is back in the starting 11 at left back. And click into Perraud. I don't think he started the last couple matches. Yeah, so Perraud will be back in there. Otherwise, Aribo started up top last match. I mean, it's kind of a guessing game. We could get El Yanusi, we could get Stuart Armstrong, we could get whoever. Like Carlos Alcaraz has been playing in a more forward role. Shea Adams has been out. I mean, Alcaraz has been playing actually as the central forward here, more of a false nine, I guess, in some aspects, but the last two matches. So, I mean, that kind of says a lot there about where Southampton are at as a team. So, what does this mean for DFS? We got Chris, happy Friday. Let's get it. The GOAT with an emergency pod. Is this an emergency pod? I was going to do this one yesterday, and then I don't know, the day got away from me. So I'm back here with an early Friday show. So I did just notice that, our two of our guys are in that 1v1. So it kind of made me want to do the 1v1 for the king of the pitch. So it made me want to do the show a little more here. But for cash games here, I put together a lineup that isn't the worst thing here for cash games. If you're looking to captain Saka or Martinelli, which is probably where you want to go. Saka's numbers haven't been the best in recent games, but he is still in set pieces. You could still see 10 corners from Arsenal if it's not really working for them. So let's just say you want to captain Saka. You could actually put in Tierney, Ben White, Martinelli, Chaka, and then just go all the way down and find a cheap Southampton piece. There's going to be a lot of 5-1 builds. I mean, look at the odds: 2.4, 0.7. Pretty much everyone's build is going to be 5-1 Arsenal, because even if this game is, I don't know, I don't know. There's not many times when you're going to have two Southampton guys and it's going to be, winning contest kind of thing. So Arsenal are at home, so that's definitely a factor. But I mean, just with that basis, Saka and Martinelli as your captain, and then you just go all the way down for your Southampton piece in cash games. It's pretty, it's not too confusing here. You could throw in, I mean, I don't even know if I'd go Jesus here, but he is most likely to score as we look at the goal odds here. Plus 100 on the goal odds. Martinelli's plus 120, Saka's plus 140. Odegaard is also in range there. You can decide if you want to use Ramsdale or not. I mean, Southampton are maybe have the worst offense in the league. So you could use that and go with Ramsdale, but then, I mean, you could see what Ramsdale has done. Just the back line, this defense in general just hasn't been that good overall. I mean, we can look at the Leeds and Crystal Palace games and it's like, okay, Arsenal kind of dominated those games. They got their goals, and then kind of lackadaisical there at the end. I think it was in that Leeds game where Leeds got a late goal, and it's like, yeah, surprising that Leeds got a goal. So that's kind of what you're worried about with Ramsdale, is just Southampton get, just some crummy goal in the 80th minute when the game is already over. It's already 3-0, 4-0, something like that. JWP gets a PK, or he puts in a free kick from 30 out or something stupid like that. And I think that's definitely in play for Ramsdale. So definitely in play given how they played. Arsenal have played with Rob Holding in the back instead of Saliba. But for tournaments here, I got Bazunu on the picture, but Bazunu captain. Let's just look at this here. So Bazunu captain is 7.2K. You can actually, if you want to do a Southampton captain, if you want to go all the way down, actually, let's see who is the cheapest Arsenal captain. Let's just start with there. That's kind of how I like playing these Arsenal slates. Instead of trying to get a brace or get 20 plus 30 plus points with one of these Arsenal guys, because you have these 4 attacking players. And I usually want to get at least 3 of those guys in my lineup. And when you captain one of them, you can't usually do that. So I kind of like spending down at captain on Arsenal slates. And the hope is that one of those guys doesn't get 20, 25, 30 points kind of a thing. Or, 25 plus, I guess I'll say. And so with that, the cheapest Arsenal captain, what do we at? Rob Holding is 5,400. Got a shot on target against West Ham. Doesn't have a ton of upside. Probably not going to take that route. Gabriel is 7,500. So it looks like the only Arsenal player that's a cheaper captain than Bazunu would be Rob Holding. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's look at Southampton here. You could get, if this was a 4-1, if this was a 3-1 kind of a game, you could captain a Southampton guy who will score. Probably wouldn't want to go center back here, though. It could happen. Crazier things have happened. Again, this all depends on who's going to start. So could get Stuart Armstrong. He's a $4,800 captain. El Yunusi's 5,100. Sekou Mara's 5,400. And then we're kind of looking at Aribo, 6,000. Alcaraz, 6,300. Lavia, maybe not in terms of goal scoring, but maybe in terms of a, I don't know, 5-point floor kind of thing from a central midfielder, I guess. Probably doesn't have the same upside as some of these guys. Maybe look at Alcaraz, 4 shots, 2 on target against Crystal Palace. I guess you could take away. I guess that's your takeaway from him. And that's kind of it. Theo Walcott against his former team here. I don't know why you'd prefer Theo Walcott over a Carlos Alcaraz for what, 1,500 more. And then you got Bazunu here. So the thought with Bazunu is that even if he allows 3 goals, he's making 5+ saves. Maybe you're getting a. Let's see what the max is for Bazunu. Unfortunately, Bazunu isn't one of those guys that is making a lot of 5. All right, maybe I'm going to take back my thoughts on actually Bazunu captain here because he's just not making a ton of saves. But he does have games with 4 saves. On the downside, he doesn't have a lot of double-digit performances this season because he's not one of those guys who's making a ton of saves. So he's not like this isn't like Nick Pope Burnley situation where 8 saves is in play for any game, unfortunately. So I almost like Carlos Alcaraz as a captain instead because you're getting that goal upside and the odds of Carlos Alcaraz. Let me check this here. Let's look at our goal scoring odds. JWP 16% chance to score. Carlos Alcaraz, 13% chance to score. So the odds for those guys to score is better than a clean sheet for Southampton. So you could play for the scoreless draw. You could play for the 5 saves and scoreless draw with Bazunu captain. You could do that, but I just don't think it's going to happen at Arsenal. So maybe it will. Maybe it will. You can take that route. But I actually like Carlos Alcaraz. If you want to do the spend down a Southampton guy, I like the Carlos Alcaraz captain a little more here. And then that gives you a little more of a wiggle room here to plug in. I think you're still going to have to decide what Arsenal guys you want. If you get Carlos Alcaraz, okay, let's see here. So we got Alcaraz captain. You can plug in Martinelli. You can plug in Jesus. You can plug in Odegaard and Saka. So you got the top 4 guys and you're left with 3,700. That's going to leave you with Rob Holding. There you go, I guess. You're still getting like 1 or 2 points from Holding unless he gets on the score sheet. So I think that still is the move. You could do 2 Southampton guys and maybe get the goal and assist from Southampton, which is really asking for a lot. So, I mean, the Stewie Armstrong, El Yunusi's down here, Sekou Mara. You could take that route and get the goal and assist from Southampton in a 3-1 game, and then you're getting 15 to 20 points from top 4 Arsenal guys. I mean, that could be a move there. It's not the worst move, or you could go Holland as well. And for Arsenal here, if you're looking to captain someone else other than the top 4, I mean, as for captain in the top 4, Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, go for it. I mean, we saw that Leeds game. Jesus had 30 points in 60 minutes. It's possible. Jesus, all these guys are going to be popular. I wonder if Saka won't be as popular as he has been, but just because he hasn't been getting the same kind of upside with Jesus in the squad. They're kind of looking a little more to Jesus than the guys on the wings, scoring a little bit. So Jesus, 4 goals last 3 matches. I think if you captain an Arsenal piece or an Arsenal top guy, I think it would be Jesus, and you kind of build around that. Again, you're still going to be kind of stuck with who do you want from those other 3 guys? Do you want Martinelli in that team? and then you're probably going to go with a pure Southampton punt and then kind of build from there, because you could, I mean, if you plug in Tierney, Ben White, you still got 8,000. I mean, you're still in the Ramsdale range. So even if you captain Jesus, it's still really difficult to get 3 of the top 4 Arsenal guys. So again, that's one of the reasons why I prefer spending down on these Arsenal slates, because you can get in the top 4 Arsenal guys. And the hope with that is that a guy like Jesus doesn't get 30 points. The hope is that maybe they all get 1 goal or 1 assist, and they're all in that 15 to 20 point range. If that happens and you get 5 to 10 points, 5+ points from your Southampton cheap captain, you're going to be in a good spot, because all these other players they're going to have only 2 of the top 4 Arsenal players. So that's one thing that I like doing on these Arsenal slates. I'm not sure what my record is on Arsenal slates. It's I mean, um, I don't know for certain, so I'm not going to comment on that. But as for looking at captaining other Arsenal pieces here, so the thing I was looking at before jumping on the show, so Thomas Partey, since he returned from injury, he has 0 shots in his last 3 starts, no shots assisted in his last 3 starts, 5 fouls committed, 1 foul drawn. It just hasn't been there. I'm not sure what's going on. If it's how they're playing, because with Jesus in there, that maybe they're playing a little bit different, and it's not allowing Partey to get up there as much as he was previously. I don't know the reason, but that's one of the reasons that I'm not looking at Partey for really anything. I mean, he's in this 5,800 range. When you have the Tierneys, you have the Ben Whites that are a little more expensive. You have the Shakas, also Chaka. He has 2 shots in the last 3 matches. Again, the last 3 matches in which Gabriel Jesus has started. 2 shots assisted. I know he's been getting a little more forward this season, so he is a possible cheaper captain of Arsenal if you want to get a random Chaka goal. That is in play as well. As for Tierney let me down a little bit last week against West Ham, 5.6 points. I believe I captained him actually kind of. He was pretty cheap. He was 5K last week, so he was one of those cheap guys that allowed me to get, I think, 3 of the Arsenal attackers, but still just wasn't there. But again, this is a home match for Arsenal, a little better than a trip to West Ham, than a trip to Liverpool kind of a thing. So I think Tierney's in range to be captain. Ben White, I still like Ben White. I mean, sorry, I still like Tierney a little more than Ben White. Tierney's just a guy you're gonna get a few more crosses from. He's gonna cross the ball in. I know. You look at Ben White's game logs. He's got 2 goals, 2 assists in the last 6 matches. So you can look at that and say, okay, Ben White maybe the better play. But as for Southampton, I haven't really talked about Southampton. We're 18 minutes in. I haven't really mentioned anyone on their team, and I mean, look at the odds. So that's kind of why. Do you want to play James Ward-Prowse? He's kind of cheap, 7,400. Will people play him in cash games? They might. You just look at these game logs. It's just really hard. A match at Arsenal. Do you want to play him in cash games? Do you just want to maybe you play him as your lone Southampton piece in tournaments and hope to get that PK, hope to get a set piece goal? But I mean, his floor just hasn't been there lately. He hasn't passed 8 points in the last 3 matches. One of those was a home match against Crystal Palace, in which Southampton probably should have scored in the first half. Southampton outplayed Crystal Palace in the first half of that game. JWP still finished with 7 points. At West Ham, 6 crosses, 7.7 points. Just really hasn't been there for a good portion of the second half of the season. So do you want him? I mean, you're not playing you're not playing him for the set piece floor. That's just how it is. There's no reason to play him for the set piece floor when you have the Tierney's, Whites, Chakas cheaper than him. You're playing JWP for a goal. And in that case, maybe you captain him, but still, I mean, he's still in the just cheaper than Ramsdale. So it's not like he helps you that much. Otherwise, per round, if you are in a range of, I don't know, below 6K here, I mean, Perraud at 5,600 isn't the worst. He's a guy that just likes to charge forward and, take shots from 30 yards out. do some crazy things kind of a thing. Maybe he's a guy who has scored from 30 yards out before. Not saying that will happen, but at 5,600, you can do worse. I mean, he's the same price as Kyle Walker-Peters, who doesn't really get his forward as much. So if you're in that range for a Southampton guy, I would say Romain Perrault. So that's kind of it there. I mean, otherwise with Arsenal, I mean, Gabriel's 5K right there. So I guess otherwise with Southampton, I mentioned Alcaraz, Aribo, whatever. Let's see what the difference in pricing with Aribo and Alcaraz is. For 200, not very much. Prefer Alcaraz in that situation. Really, I prefer Alcaraz more than a lot of these guys. I don't think any of them are safe for 90, but Alcaraz started the last two. He's looked pretty solid when on the field for Southampton. I forget where he's actually coming from, but he joined Southampton in the transfer window. Can't remember where he's from. Doesn't matter. Lavia, defensive midfielder. Sulemana, probably Jack Burkhart's going to be playing him. Sulemana, I mean, he's 6,200, though. That's still a decent amount when Alcaraz is 4,200. So I'm not sure how it's worth it there. Walcott, again, is 5,200. So I'd really only be looking at Alcaraz. I'd be looking at Perrault and Bazunu, or just as cheap as possible, like a Bednarik or whoever is down there for a cheap as possible Southampton piece. That's pretty much what I'd be doing. If I had to, I'd go. If I had to for like the Alcaraz captain with the top 4 Arsenal attackers, maybe I'd go with 2 Southampton pieces, because at that point you're still playing for a Southampton goal. So maybe there's a chance you do get that goal and assist. Obviously it's a stretch, but when you do, you're just going to win it. When that Alcaraz goal happens from whoever, I forgot who we were talking about, it gets the assist from El or Walcott or Sulemana, when that goal assist combo happens and you have the top 4 Arsenal players, you're just going to win all the money. You're going to win all the tournaments. I doubt it's going to be very popular, but the 100 or so people that listen to the show, maybe everyone's going to do it. Probably not. Everyone's going to be going 5-1. The majority of people will be captaining the top 4 Arsenal guys. I that's just how it goes. We'll see how popular Ramsdale is going to be. You could captain Ramsdale. Probably not what I'm going to do, but it is in range, just because Southampton have not been good at getting the ball in the back of the net this season. But in terms of who's going to be the most popular captain, I'd say Jesus will probably be most popular, most likely to score. So it's going to be Jesus. You're going to get Saka. You're going to get Martinelli. There will be people on Odegaard as well, and then you go from there. Maybe Ramsdale. I mean, given the clean sheet odds at 51% chance, Ramsdale captain, it could be like 8%. He could be 40%, but maybe I'm being too generous there, but just because you have these 4 Arsenal guys and maybe that's going to reduce Ramsdale's percentage. I didn't really look too much into previous results, but that's all I got here. I think I've said enough. We got an hour from now. We got the classic slate preview from the trio, Jack, Ryan, and Jordan. So check that out. That'll be for Saturday's 4-game slate. Otherwise, this is the showdown of the week. Make sure to check out Kits and Wagers, show with Chris Ryan, betting show. Check that out. It's on the podcast feeds. It's on the YouTube channel. Listen to that, and that's going to be all we got for this week. So good luck on these slates. Find us in the Discord, rotowire.com/chat. Get any questions answered. We'll be talking for Saturday's slate. We'll see what the lineups look like for this one. We got interleague going. Guys are already talking interleague for Friday's slate. And as for the lineups on Saturday, they'll be talking about it during the show, but we'll see what the questions are. Any questions, we'll answer the questions of, will Leicester run a 3-5-1-1 again? Or where they have 4 defenders? Will Nottingham Forest have wingbacks again? We can't answer if TAA is going to play as a central midfielder again. Will Brentford have wingbacks again? We'll see. Those are the kind of answers, kind of the questions that we answer in the Discord. So check that out on game day or pretty much for any slate you want to play. rotowire.com/soccer trial. Thanks for watching this. Good luck in the slate, and see everyone later. Enjoy your weekends.